don't you look at me? I've tried to be as open as I can. Why don't you look at me? I'm tired of being the invisible man. The invisible man. Oh, the invisible man.
Well, hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Invisible Man Show. Thanks so much for waiting around. Please like, share, subscribe and all that other good stuff. That would be fantastic. My name is Mark David Stallard, and with me here, of course, as usual, is my good friend Ryan Jans. How you doing, buddy?
Hey everybody, I'm doing good. Thanks, Mark. I hope you're all doing well over there on the south central side of the city.
Indeed, and we're hoping that the UK got the notes. I did put a note out there that we're starting an hour later. So because the time change, their time change happens tomorrow. So hopefully Muttley can make it. If you're not out there, Muttley, let us know. If not, we'll catch you in the next show. There we go. Just looking at chats are popping up already. All right, let's move on straight with the show. Of course, we have our special guest that you can see, but let me ask you a question. What do you get when you put passion, perseverance, and hard work together? I'll tell you what we get. We get today's guest. That's what you get. Now, when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, you're likely to see him sharing the stage with legendary rock bands such as Cheap Trick, Nazareth, Buck Cherry, Blue Oyster Cult. And there's a lot more, but we only have 1 hour. Anyhow, from right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Ronnie Ladobruk. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you today, Mark and Ryan? Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. And it's a nice day outside by all accounts. Well, I'll go outside after the show and we'll find out.
For sure.
Okay, so as we usually do, as our habit in the show, we usually ask our guest to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a 28-year-old guitar player, singer-songwriter from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've been playing guitar for about 12 years. I play in the bands Ronnie Ladobruk and the Electric. I sing and play guitar in that band, and I play guitar in the southern rock band Iwreckinso.
Nice.
Excellent.
So always got to have a couple of projects on the go, as a Winnipeg musician.
Oh, exactly. Hey, that's the Winnipeg tradition. Have multiple projects. No time, but always dedicated to multiple projects. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just gonna start off at the beginning. Now I understand you picked up your first guitar when you were early teens.
Yeah, I was 14. My parents, actually, funny story. When I was in junior high, I saw a friend of mine. She was reading a guitar magazine, and I had always thought guitars were cool. So I looked at the guitar magazine and I'm like, hey, that would be cool to try and learn that. So I asked my parents for a guitar for Christmas the next year. And my parents got me and my brother this starter guitar pack from Walmart. And I knew as soon as I pulled it out of the packaging, as soon as I put my hands on the strings, I was like, okay, this is it. I've found – I never knew where my life was going to go. And it's hard to even say that when you're 14, but I knew as soon as I put my hands on those strings that this was something I was going to do for the rest of my life.
So were you playing? Had you played instruments before then?
No. None of my family really plays music. My uncle plays drums, and he played with a couple really big acts around the city. He played with like Chris Bigford, Tim Butler. He was playing drums around the city, but I never really got involved in that kind of thing. So the connection to music. Now I do gotta say my family always really listened to great music. My mom always listened to like Iron Maiden, all this metal. Rock, like classic rock, and my dad was totally country, so I got a good mix of music. I always had that love for music, but playing it, this was like something that I just kind of ventured into myself.
Yeah, nice. And that's kind of how the great ones start, I guess. I also want to actually see some. There are a couple of comments and questions in the chat. Just want to encourage people to put your questions and send them to us. We'll definitely be reading them out shortly. And yes, Charlene, we will be asking about the zoo a little later, because we have to ask all our Winnipeg guests about the zoo. Anyway, here we go. So from that first time then that you picked up your guitar, how long was it before you actually played it you performed for an audience?
So it wasn't. So it's really funny, people. Now I've got kind of a grasp of the instrument, and people will always come up after shows and say very nice things. I sucked at guitar when I was first learning. It did not come easy to me. It took a very long time even to learn the basics, how to do a chord. So performing for people, I didn't perform for people until maybe like close to 2 years after I started playing. I was in high school, and they had this coffee house, and I remember me and my buddies, we did Van Halen, Running with the Devil. We didn't have a drummer. My buddy didn't play bass, but he played bass because you just had to do the bum, or at least that's what we thought you had to do. And then
that's what Ryan does.
So much more. It's so much more than
that's what Ryan does, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. well, the thing is like we had no clue, and my guitar was out of tune. But at this time, I was getting good at scale, so I thought I was like all of that. So I was like doing like wham, like wham, but it just sounded awful. But just being able to play in front of people, that experience, that was life-changing, because I knew I was going to keep getting better, and that adrenaline and just that feeling, I wanted to chase that.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it was Running with the Devil was your first song. Mark, what was your first song that you ever performed live?
I know you're asking a lot there. Because going back.
Well, if you need a second, I remember my first gig that I played with a band. It was for a talent show. But if you know it right away, you go ahead. If not, I'll
well, the thing is, the first show that I did as outside, because we did a lot of songs in church.
Right.
So that was but so to say the first one, I don't know. I mean, I was always involved in the church, whether singing or playing guitar. But the one that was an original song that I played was I can't remember the song. I think it was the first words are "See How the Bird Flies." I can't remember the name of the song. I can play it for you. I can't remember the title. We don't cover it. It was fair. It was good for the time, I will say. Nice folky tune, and I loved it. I thought it was I belong. I've always been, as a kid, was the one that jumped as soon as someone said, "Hey, can we have a volunteer from the audience?" I'd be the first one at the front of the stage. Pick me. So I've always been that guy. But Gavin, who I played with, he's been on the show a few times. He'll be on next week, actually. Said he was terrified that first time. Anyhow, I'll go a little bit of a longer answer than your question, I guess.
My first on stage in a band ensemble that wasn't like a music recital, like with a practice band where we took like 2 weeks to practice. It was for a grade 9 talent show, and we all got together and we practiced and learned "Hey Jude." That's the first song I ever learned or played in front of an audience.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was. And I remember, yeah, exactly. I don't know. You can't really see past the stage, but we were like popular. We were the unpopular kids in school and then we were popular for about an hour. And then after that, we weren't popular. So, whatever. But people just like it when you go up on stage. So,
yeah.
Anyways, that was my first one. Not quite Running with the Devil, but it's okay.
Hey, the Beatles are great. That's actually I would say that's more complex than Running with the Devil for sure. Like,
yeah. So I mean, you look at Van Halen and you look at some of the stuff the Beatles wrote. It's different. I mean, they're complex in their own unique ways, right? Obviously, yeah. Eddie Van Halen's a phenomenal guitar player. Knew his scales, and I actually was surprised. Well, I mean, when I first heard it, I was a little surprised, but it makes perfect sense that someone like that is classically trained, right? Is a classically trained pianist. And so he said he took a lot of that scaling and moving and finger and understanding all that is that's always this amazing. But then when you look at the complexity and the themes that are being dealt with some of the Beatles tunes, it kind of weighs out. So technical proficiency, I don't want to say like someone like Paul McCartney is an amazing musician, right? But it was just, and there's also a different era, different time, so lots of factors here. Factors.
Exactly. Actually, speaking of Eddie Van Halen, he's the reason why I got into to learning like solo guitar. Like I pretty much like, as soon as I heard Eruption, my parents showed me Eruption, and it was all over from there. I knew, like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, I need to spend the rest of my life learning how to do this. He was one of my first heroes for sure. I tried everything. I spent like 14 hours, 15 hours a day. Sometimes I'd skip school just to practice guitar and try and learn that. So
that's excellent. Now, of course, if we're going to believe your bio, you went right from picking up the guitar as a Christmas gift and went straight on stage with bands like Nazareth. However, if your bio was a movie, we would say that it was full of plot holes. So can you fill in maybe that big plot hole from getting a guitar and being on stage with Nazareth? Now, that's a big question.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a huge thing. So it's been a journey. It definitely wasn't just learning and then going on stage. So essentially my journey kind of like in a nutshell has just been a constant journey of learning and trying to learn all that I can about my instrument. The guitar is the love of my life. It's my passion. So through the years, after I graduated high school, I started playing in different bands. We would play different venues. The song with every year you get a little bit better. You write better songs. I just focused. My whole focus was on just becoming a better musician every day, and that's still my focus. So through the years, it was just a lot of seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, playing with different people. In 2011, or 2010, I believe it was, I went on a TV show called Canada's Got Talent, and I actually did a guitar solo from Martin Shorts and some other judges there, and they loved it. I went to the next round on TV. So that brought a lot of exposure to kind of my playing. So after that, I joined a serious death metal band, and I got some touring experience from that band, and got to see what life was like on the road. And then from there, shortly after that, I realized that maybe playing in other people's bands wasn't for me. I wanted to focus on my own band and focus on writing music more. So I started my own project. I did a lot of session work. I still do a lot of session work to this day. But through the years, it's just been a lot of songwriting, a lot of hard work, a lot of playing shows, a lot of paying dues. My whole journey since I started learning was paying dues up until the last 3 years, where everything started to kind of culminate and pay off. So it has definitely not been an easy journey. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of rejection, a lot of people telling me that I got to change who I am, got to change how I look, got to change this and that. And I don't care about all that. It's all about the music for me, number one.
Excellent. So don't just want to shout out to the audience here. Got a couple of people back and forth in the chat. So hi, Jim Gordon, who's been there from before we started. So
Jim Gordon,
no relation to Commissioner of the same name, I assume. The Snyder Cut, yes, wasn't it great? Anyway, carry on, move on. Shalim, of course, has joined us as well. John Dooch, I think Duch. He actually says Fat Daddy Tone. I'm sure that means something.
Yeah, that's John. John plays guitar in my band, or our band, RLE. Ronnie Ladobruk in the electric. He's an insane guitar player. He's my right hand man or my left hand man, depending on what stage we play.
Sounds good. Well, that would explain that's what RLE calls him. That's what that means. Okay, great. Shalim actually says, I love his mum, Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's actually a question. Any love for Simon and Garfunkel in the Ladobruk household?
Simon and Garfunkel. I love Simon and Garfunkel. I'm not too sure. I love Simon and Garfunkel. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Paul Simon is one of my big all-time influences. Love his stuff. Poet, musicians, songsmith. Anyhow, I will continue to ooze if you let me. Okay, just looking next. So Chris Lady has joined us as well. He says, actually, having recorded myself in karaoke, all I can say is I'm sorry.
Probably in reference to Hey Jude, I would think.
There you go, yep.
Where the song is like all of like 2 verses and a chorus, and then it's na 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 for the next 10 minutes.
You know what? That's the perfect song though to get the crowd going. Like you get a whole crowd of people going na 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 na. Like that's epic.
Yeah. And Shalim says he saw the clip of Canada's Got Talent. That was cool. Sorry, that was so cool. That's an important word, the so. And skimming down. John Douche Dutch. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sure one of those is wrong. Or all of them.
It's John Dutch.
Dutch. Okay, so apologies for saying it. I know it was wrong the first time it came out of my mouth. I knew it was wrong. He says, I'm not that good. He's being nice. # Ronnie Shreds. Here we go. That's the last
That's
one.
Jimmy Gordon there coming back with the # Ronnie Shreds.
Ronnie Shreds. And John, I'm nothing without my band. So those guys, he's being kind. He's not giving himself enough credit there.
Okay. Come on, this is getting embarrassing. You guys complimenting each other. Come on, like newlyweds. You know.
Well,
you are.
Yeah. Well, there is just something that works with when you get the right people in the right, working together. You can't always pull a Ramones where people hate each other but still play together. That doesn't always work. But in most cases, it's all about that sort of space between musicians and just how you can non-verbally communicate just by playing together. You just learn how, I know he's going to do this, or that was great, and it's something that's pretty, it's magical, and that's the easiest way you can do it, right?
Exactly, and that goes back to the kind of segueing into opening for bigger acts and stuff. It's been so many years of trying to find that group of people who you connect with musically, and not just musically, but on a non-musical level too. I feel like I really found in both bands my group of people, like with Ryan, Jordan, and John and RLE, and Brent and Claude and Ryan and iwreckinso. We're all a family. We all take care of each other. We all bounce ideas off each other. It's a really great thing. It doesn't feel like work or anything. It's just totally fun, which is super important. And as you guys know, when you have people that you can collaborate not only on music but other projects on, it's really great to find your people that you connect with and your friends. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, talking of friends, particularly old friends, the zoo.
Yeah.
Memories.
Everybody's got a zoo story.
What are your memories, good or bad?
Oh, I have nothing but good memories of the zoo. I grew up, and it's gonna sound cliche. I grew up dreaming of playing the zoo, because to me to be an actual musician, you had to play the zoo and all of the, because every musician you meet that's a mentor that's been doing it for a long time, they have their stories of playing the zoo. And when I finally got to play the zoo, it was holy smokes, this is freaking awesome. You see the pictures of you see a picture Jeff Healey played here, your heroes have played that same stage. So it's always been love with the zoo. Played there so many times, and to It's always been great shows. Got to do a Pantera tribute there, which was so sick. Some dude ran up on stage and stage dived while we were doing 5 minutes alone, which was like so freaking crazy. It was awesome. I miss the zoo very much.
It definitely had an interesting bit of clientele. That's for sure. I remember the first time I played there. Unfortunately, we played to about 10 people. And they're all people that we sold tickets to just so that we could break even to pay for the room. But it was a good. I played there a couple of times, and for the basically a big square room with a wide open ceiling that looks like out of a mechanical room. You wouldn't think you get great sound there, but you just amazing sound on stage, amazing sound outside the stage. It's great that way. So I mean, that's what's really nice. But it definitely had some hard up times, particularly right before they tore it down. I think COVID was the last straw that was just like, yeah, well, we can't keep this open and heated for another year, right? So
yeah, well, it's kind of funny that you got that the way you're thinking very fondly about that before you went on there. For me, I came to Canada as an adult and moved straight to Winnipeg. And yeah, the zoo just didn't have a reputation at all. You know, it was always a dirty place with these long-haired, greasy biker types. You know, and there's me with my my folk jazz kind of acoustic guitar stuff. And so it was funny. It was always like, oh, that's someone you got to stay away from. And the first time I got to play there, or I was actually in Aussies. Yeah, it was all those things, but it was very friendly. It was a very friendly place, and other than the one time we had a really bad sound guy, it was everything sounded great, and we had a great time. Lots of good memories. That's why we're bringing it up, I guess.
Of course.
Sure. Yeah. It's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was like, like things like the zoo and the Albert all have this sort of reputation that precedes them of like these crazy nights. And I've been to shows at both where it's just been insanity, right? And like things that you're like, oh man, I'm just like, I don't know how I got out of that one alive. But it just I've never had a chance to play at the Albert yet. And I say yet because there's still some hope that they might actually do something with it. But it's also one of those things where it's like, yeah, if it really worked when I was playing in a metal band, playing at the zoo. We just fit right in. That it wasn't weird coming that. But then it was interesting is Mark and I played the Cavern, which is just sort of up the road from there, right? And the Cavern, yeah. James is amazing, right? It's the underground now, but I don't know if James is still doing everything there. But James Brown, like. Mark, I remember Mark freaking out. He saw the green room.
We're gonna die. Like, they're gonna lynch us. They're gonna lynch us.
Covered in graffiti and stickers, and it just looks. Well,
it was the lead up as well because they had the similar reputation as well. I was scared because we were a very soft sounding band. Like, well, let's pick our heaviest songs. You know, we had and we ended up doing very well. They loved us, but it was that terrifying going in there. Look at the 3x3 green room with all the. Stuck the crap on the walls.
Like stickers and just nasty graffiti. And like, I remember Mark's like, I'm like, Mark, it's okay.
They're gonna lynch us. I remember saying that. I remember saying they're gonna lynch us. We've really gotta be.
It's like, no, they won't. No, they won't. And what? And I didn't. I was trying. I at a certain point, you're just like, okay, I gotta let him just calm down and find his own thing there. But then he was like, there's a total like hard edge, fast, thrashy type metal band that followed us, right? And I think Buddy, who was doing like I can't remember his name, but like just big beard, like long hair with like the flamed shirt, right? And like just total metal guitarist, like looked like he absolutely belonged in heavy metal. Comes up to Mark because we did Strawberry Fields Forever. He's like, hey, how did you play that chord in Strawberry Fields Forever? All right, you're like, really? It was like, of course. Like all these guys have like absolutely nothing left. A lot of people they start into heavy metal, but they find out about the Beatles and they all of a sudden oh man, we really like this.
Well, it was kind of weird because I don't really consider myself. I mean, I'm a decent guitarist, but I'm a rhythm guitarist. So yeah, when we saw these guys doing all this thrash, I thought, well, I'm nothing, and they're coming up to me asking me how I did stuff. There's a couple of songs too. I was asked about a couple of the songs that we played. How did you do that? I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I didn't think I was that good.
Well, any musician looks at another musician
Yeah.
and looks, how can I learn off them? You're the pinnacle of arrogance if you look and be like, you're doing that. You're like, oh, that's really cool. What's he doing there? Like, I'll find myself watching another bass player or another somebody and say like, what can I learn from that person? What's he or she doing that is of value here? Even if it's just, hey, you know what? That's all the stuff that I would do, and they're fitting in perfectly with the band. That to me is worth listening to and learning, right? But if you're sitting there like, oh, well, he only uses a Jackson and I'm using a Music Man, and oh, he's Galen Kruger, I use Mark. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, at the end, if you got a sound that sounds good and fits with your band, who cares how you accomplished it, right? Anyways.
No, I fully agree, and that's the thing is like all of these places like the Zoo, the Albert, the Cavern, they all had musicians of all genres and everything, and everybody learned from each other, and that's why I think the Winnipeg music community is so beautiful, because everybody learns from everybody, everybody watches and takes notes from everybody. Like it's a really welcoming like that's the thing. It's like somebody could be in a heavy metal band playing like crazy thrash guitar, but they do want to learn like that different chord structure, or that's why in my experience playing in these two different bands with kind of different sounds, I've gotten to experience that in so many different ways, like playing with like a funk blues band. I'm watching what the guitar player is doing and I'm like, how can I learn from that? That may not be my style, but there's so much to learn from.
Right. Jim Gordon, I guess, is relating to a memory, seeing Ronnie Ladobruk getting invited to help close the Cheap Trick show. I need to know about that.
Yeah, that was probably one of the craziest days of my entire life. So we opened for Cheap Trick, and I love telling this story because it's like that cliche rock and roll. Like I used to work at Club Regent Casino where the concert was at, and I used to check coats for people going to concerts and stuff like that. And the whole time I'm working this job, I'm of course daydreaming about being the band on the stage playing that they're coming to see. And I would like take somebody's coat and I'd hang it up, and I'd daydream about sound checking my guitar on that stage and hearing it roar through that theater. And so I quit that job, and then I told everybody there, I was like, give it 3 years and I'll be on that stage. I'm telling you, I'm gonna work really hard. And of course it's not just me, it's the whole band who worked hard to get there. But I told them, I'm gonna play that stage, give it 3 years. So 3 years did pass and we got invited to open for Cheap Trick. And that's surreal in itself, even to just say that. So the day comes there, and I got there early because I went and said hi to everybody I used to work with. I saw my old supervisors, saw my old coworkers, and they were so kind. They're like, have a great show tonight. Like, we always knew you'd do it. And that's like, it was very, very nice. A very, very good memory for me there. So we're sound checking. And Rick's guitar vaults, he had like 3 guitar vaults on my side of the stage. And he has his 5-net guitar and everything. And his guitar tech is letting me and Brent take pictures with it and stuff. And, it was so crazy. And then we go to our green room, which is downstairs. And we're just hanging out there. And we had met Cheap Trick. The promoter let us meet Cheap Trick through like a meet and greet thing. But we didn't necessarily want to say we were the band because it's kind of awkward. Like, hey, we're going to open up for you. So we just met them and we went back to our green room. And it's about 10 minutes before we go on stage. And we're going on the elevator up to the main floor. And the doors open and there's Rick Nielsen. And he's standing there. And he's like, do you guys know where Wreckinso is? And we're like, we're Wreckinso. And Rick Nielsen's like, I just met you guys. He's like, why didn't you say you're the opening band? And we're like, we didn't want to make it awkward. So we're just chatting with Rick Nielsen. We're like talking to him like he's an old friend, which is just like surreal. Like it's you try not to like build like these are your heroes, and you try not to make it weird, but like you just look at his career, like what he's accomplished, and it's just like, oh my God. So I had mentioned, I was like, we were checking out your guitars there. You have so many beautiful guitars. Like he had like 59 Les Paul. Like he had every guitar you'd ever dream of. And he said to me, he was like, well, you want to borrow one of my guitars for your set? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like that's who would say no to that? So we go, and he picks out a guitar, and I knew right away he picked out. I'm almost 100% sure it was a 59 Les Paul, and he gives it to me, and I'm like warming up on it, and he's watching me warm up. He was like, "That's more notes than I've ever played in my whole career," which is like, it was pretty funny. So we go on stage and we play one of the best sets of our life. Like we were on fire. Like we had something to prove that night. And Rick Nielsen watched our whole set from the side stage. I would do a guitar solo behind my head, and I'd look over, and he's standing there, and he's giving me a thumbs up.
Nice.
It was just crazy. So, of course, like opening for a band like that, it's cool, but we also had a job to do. We were trying to get our name out there. So after we played our set, we left and we went and sold merch and talked with new fans we had made, reconnected with old fans. I just gotta add shout out to everybody who supports us. Like we're nothing without the people who support us. So, but we were wrapping everything up, and Cheap Trick was about to go on stage, and Kelly, the promoter, comes up to us and he says, Rick Nielsen wants you guys to watch the show from side stage. So we're like, oh my God, we get to watch a Cheap Trick show from Guitar World? Like that's crazy. So he's playing they're playing their set, and between every song Rick Nielsen will come over while he's playing, and he'll say, yeah, I bought this guitar in Chicago in 1970s, like it's 1969 whatever, and he's telling us the stories, not missing a single note. And then closer to the end of the set there, he comes up and he says, you want to play Surrender with us to end the night? And yeah, I'm just like, oh my God. And Brent's like, you got to do it, man, you got to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I grab one of his guitars and I tune it up, and I had remembered I used to teach at the School of Rock in Winnipeg, so I had to teach Surrender to the kids. So I kind of remembered it, so I brushed up on it, and I was like, okay, I'm literally going out there with like 90% of it known, but I can't miss this opportunity. So yeah, I went out there and I played Surrender with Cheap Trick. I made a few mistakes, but the guys were super kind, and I did the final bow of the night with Cheap Trick.
It's pretty cool, man. That's pretty damn cool. Nice.
It's surreal, and the playing with Rick Nielsen was cool, but like I said before, and I tell this story, the coolest thing for me, and I'm saying this with 100% honesty, was my mom had come to that show, and like my mom and dad, I have to say, like they have been so supportive of my music journey and like me chasing this dream in music. So my mom was in the crowd, and I texted her. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to play on stage with Cheap Trick. I'm going to play Surrender with them. But she didn't read the text. Like she didn't have her phone on. So when I walked out there with Cheap Trick, and they're like, ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Ladobruk, and I walk out on stage, I see my mom, and she's bawling tears. And like, it's just one of those moments where it's like, you realize it's like the biggest thing for me was seeing my mom have, like, just knowing that their support paid off, and hopefully one day my dedication will pay off in a way that I can give my parents back as much as they've given me in terms of support. So
nice. Excellent. Well, I think the couple of comments from the audience there. Shaleem says, a great Cheap Trick story, loved it. Chris says, Mum, if my mum's watching this, put her fingers in your, I'm going to say a naughty word here. Chris says, oh, fuck me. We can take things over there. That is insanely great. Again, Chris replies, "Should I delete this?" Now leave it in, Chris. It's fine.
That's fine. It's all good. We've already called it out on air, so we
have, and you've already offended my mum. Okay, so that's all that matters, right?
It's out in the interweb for forever now. It's all good.
That was awesome. That was fantastic. Yeah,
so that was a great recollection. I mean, that's obviously something when something goes like insanely right. Now, I worked with a guy. I don't know if you're familiar with a Winnipeg band called the Perpetrators.
Yeah.
Ken McMahon. I worked with him doing photocopy repair for a number of years, and of course he was regaling me. They've toured everywhere, and he's kind of gone everywhere. He's telling me this one story about how they opened up for George Thorogood and the Destroyers once. They were on tour, so like they're setting up, and he's doing his tests and tuning his drums, right? And he goes and he looks and he sees on the bottom part of his what was it? It was on top of one of his toms or snare or something like that. He sees like this big glob of powder. It's like baby powder or talcum powder or something like that, right? And so he's meant so that when he strikes it, it's going to go everywhere, right? Yeah. And then he kind of looks and you see the text in the back there, kind of like, ha ha ha, you caught us, ha ha. And he's like, yeah, okay, guys, you got me. And so he goes tuning everything else up. I guess what he didn't realize is after he was done tuning, they took like a baggie that was ready to burst of the same stuff put it on the bottom of his ride. So when he counts in, it was boom, 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 just everywhere. And he's like, "Oh, I guess we just got to keep playing, right?" And here he is, just covered in white powder.
That's amazing.
And then he's telling us about how, I mean, George Thorogood and the Destroyers. I mean, come on, they have a song called "One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer." It's all they've been kind of a party band. Apparently, George is not a party kind of guy anymore. Like he obviously likes to play music and whatnot, but apparently he will go on stage, and what he said is, he said he's playing there. They got this nice little blues shuffle going, right? Because it's like a blues fest, and then this guy comes out on stage with a big gorilla mask and starts dancing. Apparently that's George Thorogood. He'll do that. That's what he'll do. He'll put on like do something stupid like that and just go out on stage and just kind of like whatever. Right? It's like here's a guy,
amazing.
Gorilla mask. What's going on here? So actually, that's a roundabout way of saying. Have you had any kind of experience like that happen to you guys, or has it always been pretty positive?
We've never really gotten any and like. That's super funny. That's it's kind of like playful hazing and stuff like that. We haven't really gotten much like that, but it's always been kind of like if we do talk with the bands we're opening for or interact with them, it's always been kind of like have a good set or something like that, or not too much like that. But I do have a good story about Nazareth. Just kind of segueing in here. So, like years ago, I think it was like maybe 2 years ago, we had opened for, so it was really funny how it worked out. My own band, Ronnie Ladobruk and the Electric, was opening for Nazareth in Brandon at the 40. And then the next night, iwreckinso was opening for them at the Burton Cummings Theater. So the first night there, we went out to Brandon, and the show was like packed. Like there was a lineup to the co-op across the 40 for people to get in. Like it was nuts. And Nazareth really seemed to love our show. Like we had a couple of their crew members watching, their guitar tech, and they were all super nice. And Nazareth comes on and they just kill it. And it's like, it's so crazy because like you watch YouTube videos of these guys, like, and even though it's not like the original lineup of Nazareth, it's still crazy because like this lineup has been around for a long time, and after the show, like everybody's filing out. We had done really well. We sold lots of merch, and people had really kind things to say. So I'm walking back to my hotel room around the back, and I go through this like back door, and there's a door open, and I hear Ronnie, and I look, and it's one of their crew members, and they're like, "Come in here." So I walk in, and it's a secret way to the green room. So I'm in the green room and all of Nazareth is there and they're all drinking beers. They're like, "Come have a beer with us." So I'm sitting in the green room having a beer with Nazareth, and they're telling me stories about being on the road, and they're just telling crazy stories, and they're like just giving advice like you just got to keep working hard, like it's a journey, like just keep working hard, blood, sweat, and tears, and all that. And it was just surreal because you're like sitting there with Nazareth, like you grow up on these bands and you listen to them, and then the next night, it was like we're old friends. We walk in to do sound check, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Ronnie!" And the guitar tech's wearing our T-shirt, a Ronnie Ladobruk in the electric tee. Like, it was just so surreal. Like, it's...
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
That's brilliant. Okay, so we do have so Muttley did finally join us. I'm glad you were able to. He excuses the tardiness, but as suspected, the time change hasn't happened in the UK yet. Anyhow, he does have a question, and one that he often asks. So very carefully listen to this one. Is sausage sarnie or bacon butty?
Let's go with sausage sarnie.
Okay, do you know what that is?
I have no idea what that is.
I'd say that's a good choice.
He's asked that. He's asked that for like the last 6 weeks straight.
I thought you might know what it was. Yeah, it's sandwiches. So sausage sandwich or a bacon sandwich.
I'll never turn down a sandwich, so sausage sandwich it is.
Okay, sausage it is. Okay, good man. There you go.
What are your guys' choices?
My answer to that exact question was it threw me because I didn't know what to think. I was like, is he messing with me? Like, I know I'm not up on the latest UK slang, right? So I was like, what am I saying yes to here? And so he asked them, and then I say, first one, then the other. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, that's my
and
answer.
It really depends. I can do either, but if I had to choose one, it would be the sausage. But I do love a crispy bacon butty though.
I'm just getting heartburn thinking about it right now.
Yeah. And among answers we've received for that question is time of day can make a difference as well.
Yeah. So I have learned that most people would say sausage, the sausage drink, if or the sausage drink, the sausage sandwich if they've been out having a party night and drinking way too much, and it's like the equivalent of going to Sal's and getting a nip at like 4 a.m, right? Because you're just starting to get the hangover. So
that was exactly what it would be, and that's probably why you would have those. That's probably why the British have so many different. But we'll put everything between 2 slices of bread. Yeah, if it'll fit, we'll eat it in between 2 slices of bread. I would actually, I've not said this on air before, but I am rather partial to a mashed potato sandwich. So go try that out.
Mashed potato sandwich.
A mashed potato sandwich.
They are rather good, yes.
Here's a question for you guys: is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes, because it's between 2 slices. It's something between 2 slices of bread.
Oh, it's basically a elongated dinner roll, right? So it is a sandwich. It has to be a sandwich by definition.
Didn't even have to think about it. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
According to Motley, there is a sausage drink. My little faux pas. There is a sausage drink. Oh no, he's asking, is there a sausage drink? Like, Motley, I'm sure there is one.
Yeah, well, kind of. It's called gravy, and I will drink that as well. Particularly in restaurants when there's enough left over.
Right there, a sausage sarnie in the blender with some HP sauce, a little bit of some gravy, and a bit of the hair of the dog that bit you.
Stop it! You're making me hungry. That sounds delicious.
You mix that up as a smoothie. There you go. Oh.
Okay, right. Here we are.
Wow.
I think I'm a bit lost in the chat now.
To go that way.
I think there's something I want to ask about. John says about the Nazareth story. You said they were drinking beer. He says it wasn't beer. Is that true?
I thought it was beer. I know I had one beer with them, but I after that, I'm not a big drinker. Usually I'll have a beer or like half a beer, and then I'll leave it somewhere and never come back. Yeah.
Okay. I thought there might be something better than that, maybe it was something stronger or something harder. Anyway.
Jack and Coke.
There you go.
Okay, so Shalim says, I've seen Ronnie perform before, so I've known about his prodigious talent for years. Are the major recording companies in North America aware of you?
That's a good question. You know what? I'm gonna answer this one like uh, pretty pretty seriously from my knowledge. I know people. There are people, um, powerful people, either in the record industry, or however you may say it, that are aware of me. I've been told that before. I've been in talks with managers and people in the industry before. Um, I don't necessarily. There's never been like an offer or a deal given or whatever. But I have done some work. Like I just recently, through this pandemic, I did some session work for a Juno award-winning artist named Hawksley Workman. I played on a song that he made, and we've been talking there. So there are definitely are people who are aware of me and my bands for sure. Um, but I'm also at this time I'm not really. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not seeking it out, but my biggest thing has always been the music first. So if somebody wants to work in terms of putting the music first, I'm always open to that.
Okay, excellent. Muttley says I've raided Ronnie Ladobruk and the Electric on Bandcamp. He says I hope trust that's the right one. Looking forward to hearing what you sound like. And yes, I just want to let everybody know, of course, that there are links to Ronnie's. I should have said this way earlier. We got way too involved in the conversation. But there are links to everything. That I think pretty much everything there for Ronnie's music, links to Ronnie's music, websites, Instagram, YouTube, all in the description for the stream. So if you're on Facebook, look up. If you're on YouTube, look down. All the information there, all clickable links. So go and check those out. Yeah, that was good. So yeah, you got any questions there, Ryan?
I'm still recovering from the sausage drink.
Yeah, actually,
that's a hard one to recover from. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm just like I can't say that I'm not 100% jealous. Like I mean, playing with Cheap Trick, and maybe opening for Cheap Trick, I'd be like, "Here you go, Mr. Xander. Would you like another beer, Mr. Xander?" Like I mean, anything would be like, like. Of course, and then sitting down and actually talking to them and being like, yeah, okay, no problem, and then playing with them, it'd be like, I just can't. Like I'm gonna pee my pants on stage. Like I'll just use the guitar to cover up my pants.
Exactly. That's how I felt for sure.
Like just that's surreal. Like it's surreal to me just hearing about it.
Well, what's funny is it's like. I think you made it up because I think all of us that want to be on stage, we all have those kinds of dreams. We all think, wouldn't it be nice if? But you claim it actually happened, so I don't know. I'm reserving. I think you're making it up. It sounds too good to be true.
It sounds like there was a bunch of people there that had the same mass hallucination. So I think we'll call it okay.
It's funny because those experiences, like. All fun aside, are like so cool, but it's also just like motivation to keep going. Like as you guys know, like when you have a project, you want to keep it going and doing whatever it takes to bring it to the next level. So when the biggest thing I take away from sharing the stage with those acts like Cheap Trick and Nazareth and like all these bands that we've shared the stage with, the biggest thing I take away is that everybody tells you it's a dream and they say, oh, it's not, it's just everybody has that rock star dream, but it's not a dream. It's not, it's very real. And it's a very, like, you can make it possible. The biggest thing I took away is that it just takes like hard work, and you see these guys and everybody's like, oh, it's not work. These guys work so hard. They make sure every part of their show is perfect, and you can tell that they put everything into their show. So the biggest thing for me, I take notes like on every big show that we do, and I try to take at least one thing and add it into my bands, and I know that the other guys in my bands do that too. The biggest thing is just like using it to motivate you to push a little further, because nothing is impossible, and that's what these past 3 years have shown me. So
Yeah,
Good
nice.
stuff.
Okay, two more questions. One from the audience, which I'll save just a little for next. But another one of those dreamlike scenarios is that you were actually included in the Juno Award nomination.
yeah, that I should have modified the bio to say that it was last year actually, but I did some session work on Fresh IE's record, Ill Street Blues, and because of my credit and my work on that record, like that song, Blind Men Blues, I got a Juno nomination. I actually have it right here.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty surreal.
Excellent. Nice.
Yeah. It's yeah, I can't even I didn't like it's always been a dream of mine to work with Fresh IE because I love his music, and I learned so much from being in the studio with him, but when I actually got that credit there, I was like, for the Juno, I was just like, that's another dream come true and more motivation to keep working hard.
Yeah, that's almost like I've reached it, I don't need to try anymore kind of place to be, isn't it? Almost there.
No, I think you got to work 10 times harder because now.
Yeah, for some people, that's the one. For me, I mean, I can only imagine. I don't have to try as hard now because I've reached the top. You know?
Well, it's a long way to the top, but then you got to stay there, right? So you still have to find ways to change and to grow. And if you, well, I don't want to go with the cliche. We've kicked this one to death, but you know what? It's not a show unless I mentioned this, and it's been a while since we've actually said it. But when you look at a band like let's do the classic comparison. Here's Led Zeppelin, starting at Led Zeppelin and finishing In Through the Outdoor. That's almost like a totally different band by the time you get from one to the next, but it's the same people, the same feel, right? And then you look at a band like AC/DC that starts off with their first album and gets to whatever their last one is. I'm not as up on their album numbers, but even Malcolm Young has said, "Oh no, we didn't make one album that sounded the same. We made 14 that sounded the same." Like, it's just like they knew their stuff. So what do you do to make it fresh and the same, or so it's not the same all the time, right? And then even though it's it's different, they're still fighting the same kind of battle. How do we stay relevant? For Led Zeppelin, it made sense for them to change their music and to grow and to change and try this and add a little bit of that. For AC/DC, it became about putting on an amazing live theatrical show, right?
Yeah.
So that's really what it comes down to. Is
For sure.
how do you change and to grow and stay at the top? If you want to get to the top, that's fine. Getting there is half the battle. How do you stay there, right? So
No, exactly, 100%.
Okay, right, we're running close to the top of the hour, but I think that we have one more question. Looks like a two-part question from the audience, and it might be a deep one, so we may go over the 3 o'clock mark there, but we'll see. So Ronnie, this is from Shalim, what are your songs about, and do you write the music first?
That's a great question. The songs are about just like life experiences. So it really differs with Reckinso. Brent writes majority of the like music, and all the lyrics are his experiences. So I'll speak on Ronnie Ladobruk and the Electric. It's all stuff that I've experienced through life. Even if the lyrics aren't necessarily reflecting that, it's all like metaphors or kind of that type of thing. It's just a lot of the things that we all experience as human beings: love, loss, frustration, happiness, everything. Human emotion, I would say. In most cases, the music is written first, but a lot of times, like recently, I wrote a song during the pandemic that I brought the riff to my guys before this big lockdown happened, and I had written the lyrics first, and the music just kind of followed it. So yeah, it kind of changes from here and there. But I want to ask you guys, how is your process like?
Mostly, I would say I do most of the most of the writing. When we write together, then we're usually jamming, and it comes out of a jam, which so it's more organic when we're writing together. But when I'm writing alone, which is most of the time, I'm playing, noodling around on the guitar, and I'm looking for the melody inside the chords that I'm playing. And when I was younger, I was trying to get as many chords as I could into a song. And now, actually, just recently, I've started to figure out how can I get as few chords into the song, but not so that I'm just doing what everybody else is doing, but so that I can just train myself a little bit to try and find the melody that no one else has found yet in those simple chord structures. So it's more of a discovery, looking for the melody that's already there, trying to pull it out. Then, and this is almost always, then I try and find the hook, which usually comes out of a jam, and then I'll write the song around that. And I do find it very difficult. The more melodies I write, the more tunes that I've got, the harder it is to write the lyrics. So I've actually reached out to my friend Gavin in the UK to throw some ideas at me and some other stuff. So yeah, it's lyrics are fine. I can write them, but the melodies are the things that come first and they come easiest.
Yeah, Mark. I leave a lot of that up to, because I don't sing at all in this band. I've done some background vocals, but I just don't. Yes, it's actually not. But you're not hurting my feelings, man. I know
it's not too bad.
I'm not a vocalist.
But you're not that bad. I give it a rough time, but you're not that bad.
There's definitely worse out there, but whatever. And really, at this point, it's just something nice that a lot of our stuff doesn't. We don't need it. It sounds good on its own. If we had maybe a few more instruments, it may be a nice little extra little bit, but in a live show, it's not necessary. I have done very few like lyrical stuff. There's something that we're working on for our new CD that I pretty much wrote right from scratch. And again, it's all about life and experience. And like, I work in a high pressure construction industry where it's like, meetings here and there and this there, and it's just like a constant, never-ending. It just like the wheel keeps turning, and I wrote something about that, and basically had written this sort of frantic, walkie bass line and said, "Mark, I want this," and this is usually it. If I've come up with something, I'll say, "Mark, I want it to sound like this," and I'll play him the riff, or I'll send him the riff. And I was like, "This has got to be the core of it, and I want it to be about this. I don't care what other lyrics you put on it. I trust you with that, but I want it to be about this, right?" And that's about it. And then we just play off each other when it comes there. So it does become a very organic thing. In this case, it's actually, and again, Mark has put in his input, and the changes that we've made to it were based on things that, you know what, it's great to have another set of eyes on it. So it's just it's been great. No, that's just how we do it. So.
Well,
awesome.
Actually, what we do find when in the writing process, when we're writing together, we hear a lot of, "Oh, I like that." So yeah, that tend to guide the song as well. Now, then you remember immediately what did I do? I can't remember what I did.
Yeah,
well, we hear that a lot.
Sure.
That's always a good thing when you hear that that collaborative, like, "Oh, I love that. Let's keep that going." So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're like, "Yeah, I like that, but it's not going to fit here. So let's tuck that in the back corner and in the back pocket and see if we can use it in a different place."
There are a few times I've couldn't figure out how I could write the verse, write the chorus, but I couldn't get back to the verse again, and it was struggling. I've done this a few times, and then it's like, I'm done. Split them up, 2 different songs, rewrite the verse and the chorus for each. Sometimes that happens.
Well, I remember once you'd written a song, and it had this sort of like, the song is called "By Me," right? And he goes, it's just this quietly sort of strum thing, and then the lyric is sung by me, and then it just seemed like very empty in between there, and so I imitated that on my bass. I just and it just fit. It's one of those. I wonder if, and it's not like it would have sounded bad without it. It just felt a little empty. It was like, it sounded great.
Adds
And,
that next.
and then Mark's
next
like,
level.
I like what you did there. What did you do? I'm like, I'm just copying your voice.
No, that's awesome. But I love that. I love the collaborative process of songwriting, and like the ideas when they bring everything to that next level. It's just like it's just perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the one thing about that collaboration as well is, I think everything we've collaborated on, Ryan and I collaborated on, would not have come into being had it not been for Ryan. So it wasn't something necessarily I brought to him, but something that came out together. So every time we work on it, regardless of how much or how little Ryan puts on, he always gets the full credits because of that very reason. It would not exist without him having been part of that. So,
and I can say likewise, right? I mean, it is very collaborative, and I'm not one to really care about where my name is on there. I mean, as long as I get credit for the song, that's fine. But I'm definitely willing to say, hey, Mark is the one. I might come up with a riff, or I might come up with something, but Mark's the one who has to sing it. He has to write it. He has to rewrite it so that it sounds good if he's going to sing it. So.
Take it, change key, as I've learned to do that in my later years as my voice gets lower. Change it down. Anyhow, this has been a lot of fun. Looks like the audience has been enjoying it too. So there are some comments there that I don't know if we have time to read out, but one that jumps out, Shaleem says, great guest and enjoyable show. Thanks, Shaleem.
Absolutely
Awesome.
We are a little bit over time, but that's great. It felt like it went super fast. So thank you very much, Ronnie, for joining us. It's been a pleasure to get to know you.
Likewise. Thank you, Mark and Ryan, for having me on your show. I had a lot of fun, and I very much look forward to playing a show with you guys when everything opens back up.
That would be absolutely fantastic. My goal is to
it's a date and time, man, and we'll make it happen.
For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm writing new stuff all the time, so I've got to start playing it or I'll stop writing. So there we go. Right, that's the way it works.
Yep.
Okay, so thank you everybody in the audience for joining us, especially for those of you who have been active in the chats, whether you've been talking to us directly or to each other. It's great to see the conversations going back and forth. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed the show, please like the stream, like the video, share it, subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow us if you're on Facebook, and so on. And of course, if you've enjoyed a guest, and you obviously have because you stayed with us for the whole show, check out the description in the video. So on Facebook, look up, and YouTube, look down, and you'll find all the links, or at least enough links so you can get saturated with Ronnie's music. So that will be fantastic. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. That is all we have time for, and we will catch you all next week, actually, with a great songwriting duo, Stallard and George. Oh, wait, that's me. Anyhow, well, that'll be a lot of fun. We'll have at least 4 brand new songs for you, and I'm working on 2 more, so we may even have 6 brand new songs for you next week. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and thanks again, Ronnie, for joining us. And
thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe and follow your dreams.
Indeed. Well, we have to now. You've inspired us for sure.
Right on.
You absolutely have. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll catch you all next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Oh, the invisible